Okay, I'm gonna call the board meeting to order. I have a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll move the adopting agenda.
Second.
Okay, thank you, Deb. David, motion by Deb, seconded by David to adopt the agenda. Any discussion? All in favor? 6-0. Okay, next we have, we need a discussion for the LES, roof replacement.
So TJ pointed out wisely that he wondered if we needed to bid this out. So I called the state, and because it is a loss covered by insurance, it's not a bid process. I got a hold of the insurance company, and they had actually gotten bids, and Geisler was the lowest bid, and they have done our roofs before, and they maintain our roofs. So what I need is authorization to pay the $25,000 deductible to get that claim, or get the project started. I need to send 25% of the price plus a signed contract to Geisler, and they'll get us on the books for June.
So the insurance will pay all but
They
the rest?
will pay all, but it was a $147,000 bid, and insurance will pay everything except the deductible
Okay,
of $25,000.
okay.
And then it will start a new 15-year warranty on that roof.
Awesome.
And this is the roof just on the grade school, right?
Not the gymnasium, but every other membrane roof on that facility,
All but the gym.
yes.
You want a motion? Is that what you need? Also.
So, sorry.
I'll second.
Sorry, I was making notes.
I know, I wasn't trying to jump the
So
gun.
John moved, Bree seconded.
Okay.
All
Okay. Okay. Motion by John, seconded by Bree, that USD 298 Board of Education approve the replacement of the roof on Lincoln Elementary School through the use of funds from a past reopened insurance claim, with the district being responsible for the deductible of $25,000. Geisler Roofing will be responsible for the installation of the new roof. Any discussion? All in favor? 6-0. Thank you. Okay. Next, we have the modified central kitchen for the grade school. Well,
So-
high school, I guess, sorry.
Yeah.
For the school.
For the school.
For the school.
For the district.
There you go, district.
So I shared this first sheet that you have with you last week. I've been doing this was my first kind of a Google search costs for these things.
Okay.
On the second sheet, I have been contacting, specific vendors.
Okay.
And so, what I'm finding is, as you can see, this Sunflower in Salina has some significant savings on some things. With what I have actually bid or got prices on, 2 from Sunflower, that one from Sam's on Carts, I would just on those be under budget $4,700 already from my initial proposal. I did find out some fascinating information since the last board meeting. A central kitchen efficiency idea was actually brought forward by staff when they were asked to brainstorm ways to save money. So,
Last year.
so inadvertently, and maybe it
We
was
did
just in the back of my mind, this idea may not have been an original idea, but I think
Dr. Betty wanted to do it, but she was looking at a food truck and,
Right.
and the cost of her transportation from here to there
Was really
out of
high.
line.
Her
Yeah.
version was really
And by the time they brought the idea, there wasn't really a lot of time, and we just had so many constraints, and the cost was so much more that we decided to,
I think the wheelchair van is genius.
it's a lot better idea.
well, and the 2 hot carts, the transport carts, and I actually got a bid for $6,500, but when I got a hold of Sunflower Salina, they were $900 apiece. So must be a lot of wiggle room in restaurant equipment.
We get a lot of
But they
wiggle
are
room.
short, and I don't know that we'll need 2, but I think it's important capacity-wise. They should both roll up that ramp and go right into a side ramp handicap minivan, and that's what I've been searching for online. I've got my eye on one that's actually is $18,000 in Wichita, if it's still there, but it does get us into about a 10-year-old, pushing 100,000-mile vehicle, which with such limited transportation, I'm trying to weigh that out.
I'm gonna ask it to do what, 4 miles a day or a little more?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just gonna go back and forth between the schools, so.
If I can continue to get competitive bids on some of this stuff, you know, what I would ask for, because I think we need to move ahead with it. But understand, there might be a good chunk of my summer where I'm in blue jeans and have a tool belt on, working on that cafeteria to save money. We did get a bid on it to do that tile work for $7,000. I can buy the tile for under $2,000. And so I'll be working
workday.
in multiple roles this summer.
Yeah.
What I would like to do is see if the board would approve maybe that 29,700 to be spent as needed savings and adding to these specific categories if you support the idea.
And there are people in the community as well as on the board who, you know, you make them aware. There are many people who would be willing to help out so that you're not having to do it all
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to ask.
Okay.
As long as-
Okay, and
yeah.
that's that space in the grade school right now. That's 2 classrooms now, so where will all of what's there now go? How are we gonna, what are we shifting where?
Well, currently, the third grade level will go to one
Okay,
class. That class, in my conversations with Denise, will move over toward the high grade level wing.
okay.
Mrs. Cavalli's. So there's a temporary wall there that was put up to divide those two when the whole thing was a library. I think that'll come down pretty easy. I haven't poked around on it very much, but I don't think that should just be framed in with
I would think it's
sheetrock on
just
it.
framed in, whatever's hanging on it. I think there's a whiteboard. I've been in Miss Z's, I've never been in Mistress Cavalli's.
Mhm.
I know, I think her whiteboard hangs on it, so be a matter of
It seemed
taking some things down.
Yeah.
like Dennis put that in there,
The
did he
wall.
not?
Who did?
Didn't Dennis put that wall in there? We were doing that when we made that into 2 classrooms?
I
Okay.
can't remember.
Okay, I know,
If it
and
was
I could be
Dennis or-
dreaming.
And there may be some power in
It
there
might
that
have been
we'll
Mr.
have to
Cook.
put up
Oh, Mr.
above the
Cook, maybe it
ceiling
was Mr.
tiles
Cook
and
then, yeah.
deadhead it, but
Yeah,
So
Do
the
we
one,
need-
the one room wasn't gonna be utilized next year anyways.
correct.
So then we'll just move the one teacher to one of the other empty classrooms. Will we
Yeah, we-
still have plenty of space then for all of our classes? Then we won't.
Yes.
Just wanna make sure we weren't, you know,
Mhm.
yeah,
creating yet another space issue.
yeah.
Are there any concerns with sound coming over into the music room?
If I remember right, that won't, lunch doesn't conflict with music time.
Okay,
Okay.
But I would say this, just off the cuff, if band doesn't bother the classroom, then I don't think the classroom will bother
The
band.
cafeteria would bother that.
And I do know that that wall in the band room, it has a weird cantilever to it, and I don't know if that was a sound buffer. I don't know what's back there, but there's this odd cantilever of angles that makes that wall probably 18 inches thick.
Okay.
I would guess it's soundproofed, because that's been the band room, vocal room forever.
I say, when I was there, it was,
I knew
the
those
band
were there.
room, so, yeah, that's,
I would just say if
Won't go how
band
many
didn't
years that is.
disturb that third grade
Yeah.
class that was there, I can't believe it would be a bother the
Okay,
other
yes,
direction.
that's good to know.
what about, is there, I apologize if you've said this at the last meeting, but what about the flooring? When we pull that carpet up, what's underneath there?
Dennis has sampled it in 2 different places and has said that it's concrete underneath. So probably in order to get that carpet to adhere, they had to pull that tile at that point.
So there is no
yeah,
tile.
there's no tile.
There's no asbestos concern or anything under
No,
there? Okay.
not at this point, but we
Okay.
sampled both classrooms and he cut and peeled back about a 12 by 18 strip and said it was concrete underneath. So we'll need to dissolve the glue, scrape it down, and then just install a VCT tile, which is really simple. Just trowel on ridged glues and slap them down. And then they'll be waxable and cleanable like the rest of the
Less of the,
tiles here. They'll just be able to maintain it that way.
Speaking of cleaning house, did they get the Zamboni machines mixed around here?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. They delivered one unit and they brought the elementary one, the stand-on got delivered here for some reason. and they haven't picked up any old units, so we're working on getting that coordinated. I've asked Dennis to call and find out what's going on. If they're gonna pick up units, then they can come get this one and get them to the right places. I think it's a reasonable expectation for the amount of money that those cost.
I would think. Lighting should be okay, shouldn't it? Because we're.
It'll just be both classrooms, and they have those great windows along that side too. Denise had talked about, there's some sound buffer, upholstered kind of buffer boards down in the current cafeteria that she would like to see about moving up there, so it just doesn't become like the,
Hollow echo.
like the bench theater chamber, so it's just not hollow. Once we put tile down, there's gonna be sound bouncing around, so if we could buffer something on the walls,
So we can take what's downstairs and bring it up.
yes.
Very good.
What will be used in the current lunchroom space downstairs? Not the kitchen, but where the kids
Right.
eat,
Currently, that would be space available.
for storage, or maybe get some things off the stage.
Yeah,
Great
as
idea.
long as we maintain a pathway to that stairwell with the lift, so we can get that cold food production up and down. We just need a fire, an egress-sized route to get out of there.
So it'll be space we can figure out how to utilize.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a lot of stuff on that
There
stage.
is a lot of stuff that's
Now, in
appreciated on the
food
stage.
service, you have to be careful, we don't just clutter it up and
Right,
create.
sure.
That's
Right.
what I was, you gotta be
Habitats.
careful,
Yeah.
you know, what you bring down there,
Right,
you know, especially for food.
Yeah, because the kitchen itself will still be utilized.
Right,
Yes.
you know,
yeah.
right.
I would think more even like an office, I don't know if you could partition it off, whether that would give us, any teachers would just need
Good.
just an office space.
It'll be a usable space whenever we determine how to best use it.
Do we need any more tables?
Well, that is cost prohibitive at this point.
Okay.
The original plan was to try to look at tables, and for that age group, I've heard the round little seats work best. It keeps them from sliding around and having fun at lunch. But they typically run $15,000 to $18,000 for a 12-seat collapsible table.
Holy smokes.
I know. So to seat 110 or 120 kids, that's a sizable expense, more than the project.
Yeah.
So at this time, I think we're going to have to utilize the old tables
Okay.
and look at that maybe on down the line,
$100 plastic picnic tables.
right? I was sticker shocked when I looked at the price of,
We can use the ones we have now.
yes.
Yeah.
And the lunches would just be the same as they are down in the basement, except for they would be going
Most of them upstairs.
there,
Yes.
so.
And
And
there's
it'd really
that,
be more
like I
room, or you
said,
could add another class, you get more kids in there, or how you would.
well, depending on, well, we should be able to go back to full capacity seating with the current tables.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, whatever that number would be.
Back to where we
Yeah.
were before.
Yeah,
But if we could, and this kind of a Denise thing, it's a building issue, but schedule less lunch transitions, then it's just less chaos.
Well, if you could do 2 periods or something, bringing that food down would shorten the window that
Right.
it has to
Yep.
set and be warm.
But these 2 hot boxes that I had anticipated $6,000 for, they are electric plug-ins. And even if they're unplugged, if you preheat, put the food in, the estimated hold time before temp drop is 4 hours. So even if they don't get plugged in, they'll fit that window. But with opening the door to replenish the steam table, it'll be nice to have it plugged in so that we don't run into food safety issues. We gotta keep the temps.
okay. Any other discussion, good questions? Good questions.
I wanna make sure you feel comfortable with this, so.
I would move that we give Mr. Crenshaw authority to spend up to $29,700 as needed for creating a central kitchen atmosphere between the grade school and high school. It needs to be done.
Okay, thank you, Gina. Is there a second?
Also.
Thank you,
Or
John?
Did you have
Oh.
discussion?
Okay, motion motion by Gina, seconded by John, that USD 298 Board of Education authorize up to $29,700 to renovate, for renovation and equipment of a modified centralized kitchen system. Is there any discussion? All in favor? 6-0.
Now, if I find a vehicle, do I need to come back to you, since I know it will be over $10,000? Do I need to come back?
But it'll be in
Within
the
the
29.
So that's
The
okay.
29, yes.
Okay.
You might, I guess it's just as a courtesy, you might notify us that maybe
Sure.
you found one and this is what it's gonna be, and
That'd be
Okay.
great.
All
as
right.
long as it's under
Under
what
your
we've got
27
here.
you're good to go.
What you think
then
about
we're-
this one or such and such?
Yeah,
And I would just reiterate, this is the wind farm money, that payment in lieu of taxes. And I think there has been conversation that what are we doing with it? And I think that it's being given to us to utilize.
Yes,
So,
well, and it's good that it's not gonna come out of any next year budget.
right.
Well, if you're dealing on a vehicle and you're in a point, you wanna be able to do it, and not have to try and,
yeah.
please hold this while I.
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure.
Board meeting here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't
you're
want
good.
yeah,
somebody to think I was getting out of my zone.
yeah. We'll reel you back in. Okay, all right, moving on, LJSH gym HVAC approval.
I think I shared with you my ESSER two budget that I had submitted for curriculum, and it included money for the HVAC at the gymnasium. And I got notice this week of our official award, and that was approved. All of those items, the Fast Bridge, social studies curriculum, math curriculum, and science curriculum were all approved by the task force and the State Board of Education as valid expenses with ESSER two money. So, with that being said, I guess I need a blanket authorization to do that with that money. But secondly, I need to jump through some federal hoops because the HVAC process is, because we're using federal funds, there's a whole new list that they've put out, and we didn't even know about it until after we had applied for all this funding. But we have to do, we have to have an engineer study, we have to have an environmental thing, we have to follow some wage law called the Davis-Bacon Act and make sure we have prevailing wages. There is a lot of hoops, and I need permission to start that process. I have talked to Fred Malakote, who did the design work, and to him, he said, we deal with the same set of regulations all the time, and I said, well, we never have.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I would like to get the approval to get this out for bid, and hopefully by fall, we can get those units installed and hooked up.
Working right. Can you refresh my memory on where the ESSER two money, where that's coming from? What is that fund? What
That is the COVID federal money. ESSER two is still from the Trump administration, and then ESSER three is Biden's $1.9 gazillion thing that they just passed. So we will have another round of funding coming through, but the parameters are COVID,
It was something
and
cool.
yeah, HVAC falls under it for sanitation and air quality, and so the gym was a pretty easy sell when we pumped carbon monoxide in there from those direct fire units. That was an easy sell as an upgrade. And then when ESSER three comes around, then we'll look at other HVAC units that'll have better filtration, possibly an ion-producing sanitizer that they're adding on, bells and whistles that will qualify for that expense.
I appreciate your planning and forward thought in coming up with these necessary things with this funding that's coming available.
It's a perfect
Yes.
opportunity for us to do things that we wouldn't be able to do in the next decade.
There's a giant ventilation fan in there, right?
Yes.
In the east end.
Mhm.
Is that something when they designed that, do we have control of that again, or last I'd heard that was something we had to call out to get it even turned on, or is it, it's something they can
The
flip
thing-
on and run whenever they want?
I think so. It used to be controlled by
EPM.
EPM, but
We-
it's not anymore.
We can
correct?
control it. It's
Yeah.
through EPM, but we can control it.
But my understanding is it does have some sort of sensor apparatus that once the air gets to a certain quality, it will kick on to ventilate out.
Ventilate out.
Once that direct fire systems exhaust into the gym, when it hits a certain level, that's the understanding I have. It kicks on, sucks the air out, so we can start the process over again. Are you asking if we eliminate it with the air conditioning?
No, I was just curious, it was kinda like graduation the other Sunday, whether we, and if we have it air conditioned, it's not a big deal. I know they used to use it to draw their air through it and help.
I've never been here when it's on, I assume it's noisy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
A little.
It offsets the coolness.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then,
Circulation
and part
of air.
of increasing that air quality is the air conditioning part of that, so we'll go to a true heating and cooling system for the gym.
So.
It's a big space to cool.
Yes,
I
it
mean, you
is.
have to
Well,
set the
well, that's
thermostat at
the,
about 76, but.
that's the thing about
Not
moving.
76.
Save
They
money.
used to draw and control, cool it down.
Right,
It took a little planning, but it
Yes.
was
Yeah,
probably
and
cheaper
yeah,
just to run
and
the
yeah,
fan
there
and
was
bring in
some
cool air.
noise for it from it, but the fact that it circulated the air and cooled it down a little bit, to me, offset that, so.
And again, I know it's been a while since we talked about it, but this will put those big units on the ground behind the shops, much like at the elementary school, and we will no longer have ladders and safety ropes up on the roof for when the north wind blows out those units.
Yeah, they need to.
We
know
will
that.
we won't take those off because they do have the roof sealed right now, but we'll just cut them off and they'll just be dead units on the roof. My experience has been, anytime you take something off a roof and try to do something different, all you've done is break the seal and you
Right.
can end up fighting leaks.
Yeah. If we ever had to redo the roof, would be a good time.
That's
to
Right,
take it
Exactly.
down.
right, if there was a time that we do the roof, that would be the time to take them off, not just,
Exactly.
and the expense to get them down.
Yeah, they take a crane.
Mm-hmm.
Gravity always works.
And mold. Yeah.
Let's have a science project.
Throw a rope
There
up
you
there
go.
and drop it on.
Not so sure one of them would
Instead of the
land on
eggs,
the
you do the air
FEMA
conditioner.
shelter, we could certainly test
the
that
heaters.
durability.
There's always something to
Yeah.
learn.
Yeah, let's not do that one.
Okay.
So we need a motion, if we so choose, to approve just the letting of the bids or the use of
I would
the
say
spending the money?
the ESSER expenses for curriculum and the gym HVAC.
I so move.
I will second.
Curriculum.
And gym HVAC.
Whoops. Okay, all right, so motion by Deb, David, motion by David, second by Deb, that USD 298 Board of Education approve the use of the SRF 2 money for curriculum and the HVAC for the gym at the high school. Any discussion? All in favor? 6-0. Okay. Next, we have an executive session for personnel. How many minutes?
20. I know you were gonna have 5, right?
That's why you're looking at David. Yeah.
I would think 20.
20? Okay, I have a motion to go into executive session for 20 minutes with Mr. Crenshaw.
I'll move.
Thank you, Deb. Bree?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Motion by Deb, seconded by Bree, that USD 298 Board of Education go into executive session at 1:33 PM for 20 minutes with the superintendent of the purpose of discussing personnel matters for non-elected personnel, and that the Board of Education return to open meeting at 1:53 in the Lincoln Junior Senior High School Library. The executive session is required to protect the privacy of non-elected personnel exempt under COMA. Any discussion? All in favor? 6-0.